Okay. These people are
You're
laughing
not looking at me.
No, these people were pointing and like smiling at my Halloween decorations. I gave them a thumbs up, and the guy went, I was like, hello, I'm sitting right in my car. Of course I know. Anyway, hi guys. Welcome back to Car Talks. I'm Jillian, and I'm sitting across from my mom on FaceTime, and she'll say hi.
Hi, I am Amanda, also known as Mama, and this is episode number 2.
All right, so, yeah, we're on episode 2, and our topic for today, to kind of just get us going, but who knows where we'll end up going, is stereotypes. And not in the way of what you would think, just in more of a, like, personal experiences and things like that. And especially for you being a high school teacher, I think there's a lot of things that could be talked about here, but mainly just I think like the like emotional response to people pinning stereotypes on a specific person, you know?
Is that why you picked it?
That's why I picked it, because I have a story for you.
Okay.
And I think I might have told you this already, but I'll tell you again.
No, I think you said you were going to save it. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, I did save it. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So this just happened to me in class. And actually, I'm wearing the sweater that the story happened with.
Oh, God. I know what you're going to say to me right now.
Very ironic.
Oh, okay. I
I
already know what you're going to tell me. Okay, go.
So, yeah. So I'm wearing the sweater that this story that I was wearing when this happened to me. But I was sitting in class, and I had someone, a girl, like, how did they say? I don't know. The class before this happened, I had a girl, like, I feel like I'm not the greatest at gauging whether or not someone's flirting with me. But
God. Okay.
Like,
yeah, it is what I thought, but I didn't think it was this. Okay.
So I'm not the greatest at gauging whether any person is flirting with me or not. But my roommates, actually, I told them about it, and they were like, yeah, we think she was flirting with you. And I was like, okay, great. And so I'm pretty sure she was flirting with me. And I went back and I was like, how do I get the message across that I am not a lesbian without saying, hey, I'm not gay, you know?
Yeah.
And I've experienced this a lot. And so then the next class, I come to class, and some conversation was happening.
Hard.
What?
That's hard. That's hard. Like, how do you announce, like,
I'm not a lesbian?
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because you don't. So I mean, okay, so let's stereotype you. You wear makeup, you curl your hair, you don't always do it. I don't always do it.
Right.
You know?
But okay, let me finish this story.
So finish your story.
But because that relates to the story about how silly those little things can be. So yeah. I'm sitting in class, and some conversation came up about like being gay, and something happened, and then I had chimed in, like, and everybody was kind of talking, but I had chimed in, and I was just like, it was a joke. People were talking about like being allies, or if they were part of LGBTQ and stuff like that. And I had joked, and I was like, I'm just an ally, and that was it. And like, it was quick.
Yeah.
And then this girl from the other side of the room goes, you're not gay? And I went, no. And she went, it's the sweater, babe. It's the sweater you've got on. That's what's making people think you're gay. And I was like, great, thanks. So now I can't even wear a sweater without
oh my God.
being categorized. And in no way do I want this to come across as like, oh my God, I hate gay people. Because that is not it at all. I could, like, people do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, really something so minute. Like you said, I can curl my hair all I want. I can put as much makeup on as I want. I can wear whatever shoes I want. But my sweater that I put on because it's cold in here is making you think that I'm a lesbian.
Yeah, like, that's super weird to me.
Why is that? And I get that all the time. People are, and I came to the conclusion that I'm like, this is my thought is I dress extremely modest for my generation, I think.
You know what?
I cover up. Right.
Yeah.
I cover up. I wear big baggy t-shirts because I'd rather be comfortable. I'm starting to
cleavage out.
Yeah, I'm not sticking my boobs out. I'm not wearing a push-up bra. I wear a little bit of makeup, but I don't wear any foundation and pretty much no eyeshadow. I rarely wear eyeshadow. I usually just wear a little mascara, some eyebrow gel, and maybe some lip gloss, some colored lip gloss, and that's it. Like, that's all I wear. And I don't feel like I need anything else. Why would I put anything else on if I'm comfortable without it? Like, I'm not spending money on stuff just to look straight. Like, that's so stupid. And so I'm like, why is it so, like, why do people assume that I'm gay all the time? I've been getting it since high school. So many people in high school thought that I was gay.
It's weird. And it's like,
and I'm like, why am I categorized as that? Like, just from one look at me, you're going to decide that I'm gay? I don't do that to people. Are you kidding me? If I'm friends with someone,
I look at you and I don't see it at all. But of course, like, I know you deeply.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, does this happen to gay men more frequently than, you know, like, if a guy is has like just kind of slightly feminine characteristics or something, people they like automatically assume
he's gay.
They're gay.
That's what I think it is too. And I was just going to say, I hate that people from one look decide, oh, she wears that sweater, which this is the sweater. If you can't see it, I love this sweater. It's so soft and cozy and warm, and it's so stupid and 80s, but I love it. It's fun. Whatever. Why is my clothing choice defining whether or not I'm gay? Stupid to begin with. But the other thing is, you guys raised me to be independent, to be strong-willed, to be a decision maker, to not rely on anybody. And once again, why are those stereotypes given? Like, why are the opposite of those stereotypes given to straight women? How come people only assume you're straight if you have to rely on a man, if you can't get by without someone helping you, if you need someone to hold the door open? Which, if I'm in a relationship, I'm all for him holding the door open for me. That's fine with me.
Yeah, or anybody. I mean,
that the whole idea of like being a gentleman or whatever. Fine. Like, I don't care about that. But the idea that I can't be a strong-willed, independent woman without people assuming I'm gay or a lesbian. And it's like the whole situation of that. And it's like, I can't believe that those people are going as small as to define it by the sweater that I put on.
Do you think it's because of your age and because of being in college and everything? So let me paint it this way. Like, where I work, if you are a strong woman, maybe speaking up in a meeting, contributing ideas, giving direction, all of that stuff. And maybe it's because it's a school and we're used to teachers being men and women. But even like, and maybe it is just because it's a school, but even the environment coworkers, we don't think that.
Yeah.
At least I don't. I really don't think people think that. I don't think
people aren't thinking about if you're gay or not.
Like, because you're speaking of an environment where you're in school and everyone's like gathered right in a college classroom scenario, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm in a round table, all staff, meeting of some sort, and we speak up as women, that's not considered.
Yeah, I know. Well,
but
I
you know
think
what though? Honestly, it really could be because I'm in the school. Because our school, we really don't. We're with children all day. We're teenagers all day, and so we don't make those. I don't think people as a whole think like that. At least I don't think they do.
And you know what,
I don't.
Mom?
Yeah.
Stereotypically, teaching is a female job or a women's job.
Yeah. I know
it's defined, that whole idea of, the woman knows how to do it.
I'm not in that.
But it's just,
I don't think that.
I don't think that either. I don't think that either because
stereotypically it's a woman's job?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I don't think that at all.
Mom, yes. In elementary and middle school, growing up, when they ask, what do you want to be? They tell the guys, well, do you want to be a police officer? And they tell the girls, well, why don't you be a teacher? And there's other examples.
Yeah.
But,
I know. I mean,
that's...
Do you think that's still happening?
Yes.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I think in elementary teaching, I think it is predominantly women. And I think it's the idea that women are nurturers and women are mothers, that whole idea, which is so stupid because all of my professors here at school for my major that I know two women professors in my major right now. And the rest are dudes. And it's great. And they're fine. And I don't think anything of it. And it doesn't faze me. But when you start to analyze it, and when you start to really focus on that kind of thing of, okay, especially in the industry that I'm going into, the industry I'm going into is a predominantly male industry. Like I was telling you, even now, even as progressive as our generation as our communities seem to be, even now, I sit in my class, in my major with my male professor, and I am one of 4 girls out of 28, I believe. I'm pretty sure there's 28 of us in that class.
Right. Why do you think?
And I am one of 4.
Do you think it's because it's technical?
No, it's just always been like that because women weren't allowed to work when it came about. When the industry I'm going into came about, women were not allowed to work. They were not allowed to be a part of, it roots all the way back to women aren't allowed to work. And do you know what? Teaching is stereotypically a women's job because it goes all the way back to the men went to work and the women stayed home and taught the kids for free. And they, they gathered together and the women took care of the children and the men went off and worked. And it's still crazy to me that stuff is and it's getting better, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
But it still exists.
My mind is so far from that.
I know it is.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
I know it is, but you think that you've been at home where you live, where I grew up, for however many years, living in that environment and working in that environment and seeing, and you've gotten lucky, I think. And when I think back to the past jobs you've had, the jobs that you've had, any man there, you were equals, if not better. As a woman, none of the, when I think about the people that you work with now or the people that you worked with at your job before, they were not separating you like that. But it still happens.
Yeah.
It still happens and it still exists now. And
in the school system, it's I don't a man-woman thing. I really don't think it's as strong. Maybe I'm just super naive about it.
Yes, you are naive about it. But do you know what?
Maybe I think
just
choose not. I might be, but maybe I choose not to live in that space.
Yeah, because
I'm not denying those things exist. Men, women, gay, straight, whatever. I'm not denying. They 100% exist. But I kind of think maybe I just choose not to live in it.
No, yeah, which is fine and it's good but I think for you it's different you've gotten really lucky with the people that you work with, like just from going to school there and having those people as my professors or as my teachers. Like, you've gotten really lucky, because I've seen some pretty, just here at the school that I'm going to right now, I had one male professor in particular who did not like me and did not like that I was bold. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm a woman. There would be half the class would be doing the same thing that I would be doing, and he would yell at me and he would say, "Why aren't you paying attention?" and like call me out and try to act like I'm doing just something so horrible when I'm sitting on my computer doing the work that he's asking us to do.
Right.
But then the guy next to me won't get in trouble for it. And it's just like, it still happens. And it's so disappointing that it still happens, but it does.
That is disappointing that it still happens.
And, and it's disappointing. And you know what? He messed with the wrong girl, because the second he started mistreating me because I'm a girl, I sent him an email. And I was so professional about it. And I was like, I don't understand.
Okay, so you were a Karen on him?
No. Everyone says that to me. Everyone says that to me. I mean, you're Karen.
Okay, so there you go. No. Because you stand up for yourself, you're stereotyped as a Karen.
A Karen. No, I don't think you're like only the second person that said that of the people that I've told the story to. But I sent him an email and I was just like, I don't understand why I am being called out, and like, I don't remember exactly what I said because it was like way at the beginning of the year. But I basically was just like, I don't understand what I've done wrong. If there's something that I can do to make up for it, like, just tell me.
I'm following along with you. I don't know how much more.
Yeah. Like, literally, like, I'm following along with your lesson. I'm answering your questions. Like, I'm actively participating. I don't understand where this is coming from or what more I can do. And he sent me, oh my gosh, like a 3-page essay of basically just literally gibberish. It looked like he copy and pasted it off of ChatGPT, and I'm not kidding. Like, the most gibberish email. And I read through it and I was like, he didn't address a single thing that I had said. And then in class the next day, after I had sent him that, in front of everybody, which we're in college, dude. We're in college and you're talking to me like I am in middle school.
Right.
He's like, all right, guys, have a good day. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Don't forget to do this. Also, Jillian, I need to speak with you after class. Whoa, just catch me on my way out, dude. Like, we're in college. Just catch me on my way out and be like, hey, can I talk to you for a second?
Scolded? Do I get a detention?
Like, what is happening? I literally was like, whoa. And then my friend who sat next to me, she looked at me and she was like, what? And everybody in the class was like, I can't believe he just said that out loud. Like, why would you say that? And so I talked to him after class, and he said to me in person, he goes, I saw your email, and it's just not fair if I allow you to work on the assignment, but I don't allow the person next to you to work on the assignment. Allow all of us to work on the assignment, dude. That's what everybody's already doing. Like, we're in a college classroom. You are my college professor. I am paying you to go to school here. If I want to sit on my computer and type the whole way through it, I'm going to sit on my computer and type the whole way through it. Like, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's weird, like, because you were on task.
Yes, that's what you're saying. It's not like I'm sitting there like weird. On a phone. Yeah. No, it's like it was like a Photoshop class. Yeah, so I'm on Adobe. I'm like on Adobe working, and I'm on Adobe following along to his demonstration, and I'm like doing it, and then I'll raise my hand. I'll be like, wait, how did you get to that step? And he'll be like, it's this, and then I'll be doing it, and then he'll go, Jillian, and I'll go, what? And he's like, and then he'll like nod at the board, and I'm like, okay, and I just go back to what I'm doing.
Watch him do the whole
and
thing.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what? And then I look around, thinking like, am I like missing something? I'm not missing anything. Half the class is doing the same thing I'm doing on their computer, following along with him.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is happening right now? And I really do feel like, and this is another stereotype, and I am guilty of this, and I'm guilty of making this stereotype, but I couldn't help but he was a Middle Eastern man. I don't know if Middle Eastern is the right term anymore, but yeah, I don't know where from. I think so too. He was a Middle Eastern man and like came right from there. Like he spoke English, not a lot, but so I really felt like I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, does he not like me because of where he's from and because I'm a woman? Because they are stereotypically not the kindest to women. And I try so hard to like disregard that and to not like focus on those things. And like, I try not to profile people in that way because it's horrible to do. You can't assume. But I couldn't help. I couldn't help but make that connection because here I am, my first experience ever having a conversation with anyone from that part of the world. And it just so happens to be a guy, and he just so happens to be treating me horribly. But if my friend, who is another man, walks up next to me, it's like they're best buds and nothing is even happening. And I'm like, so I can't help but to
confusing.
Make that assumption or make that stereotype.
I'm going to be devil's advocate and say you are stereotyping him just like you feel like you're being stereotyped when people think you're gay.
Yes, but I'm stereotyping him because of the way that he treated me and because of the experience that I had. Not because he's wearing a sweater.
Right. Yeah. I follow you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many levels. And it's like, I'm a lesbian because I'm wearing a sweater that I thrifted. But someone else might get angry.
He was a jerk because he treated you like a jerk. Like he treated you poorly.
He was a jerk and
you felt like it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a jerk. And it's like,
would you have felt the same way if he was
a different race?
A white Polish guy like your dad?
Yeah, I would have said, why is this white guy being such an asshole? And for me,
what?
Yeah, so, but
what makes you not say like, why is this person being such an asshole?
Okay, well, so the reason that
do you know what I mean, though?
Yes, the reason that I give him that descriptor is because, oh my God, why is it?
I don't mean that. Like, I know why you're like, what I mean, he is, but like, as people, though, I think it's just super hard. I think it's impossible for us
to not categorize each other.
To not, as like, because it's this human nature. Why. Like, we can't just call him like. We're not just going to look at him and say, like, oh, this person. You're going to identify things about them. Like,
yeah, and do you know why? Do you know why? What? Because anyone else who takes that foundation class and asks me, did you take this class? I'm going to say, yes, do not take it with the professor that I had because this was the experience that I had with him. And when they say, well, who was he? I'm going to give him their name and I'm going to describe him. I'm going to say, he's the Middle Eastern professor. And that's how people are going to know. And so it's like, you have to do that. You have to, because that's the only way that other people are going to identify with what I'm trying to explain. If I just say, oh, my professor was so mean to me and he was a man. People are going to be like,
maybe,
okay.
Maybe like in the year 3000 or something, we'll all be like gender neutral. We'll all be like, the same color skin, will all like look, act. You know what I mean?
There's no way that
I know, but you know what I mean.
Oh my God,
maybe eventually.
Oh my God, this person's gonna hit my car. Oh my God,
we're gonna be like aliens. Is someone getting an accident?
Oh my God, no, they're gonna hit my car. They're trying to park in front of me, parallel park, but they clearly don't know what they're doing. Welcome to Car Talks, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they got so freaking close. Thank God I'm in work. What? Oh, they just had to pick someone up.
Oh my gosh.
That was crazy.
So I think as humans, we want to put things in order. And like, even your experience, you're trying to make sense of how you were treated.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to justify it.
Right? And maybe that's what it comes down to. We're trying to make sense because you were treated in a negative way. So if everything was positive, we all just like live our lives like happy, jolly, everything's positive, whatever, good experience. Just when things go negative or go sad or whatever, or you're feeling hurt, bad, all those bad feelings, I think that we try to make sense of it. We're trying to explain it so to understand, because it hurts.
Yes. And we're making sense.
Like your feelings were hurt and you were confused and you're like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And then you're almost looking for him to correct you, to explain, to identify what you're doing wrong. Like if he would have said, if he's like, hey, Jillian, and you looked up, like, what? And he said, you need to go to the other menu or on this other step. You would have been like, oh, okay, got it. Or could you please don't work for a minute. I want you to watch my board. You would have been like, oh, okay. And you would have watched the board. But instead you felt like you were scolded without understanding why.
I believe that's it. He went, Jillian. Yeah. And then continued his lesson. And I was like,
right? And you're like, what am I doing?
Okay.
Where am I at? I'm so focused on what you're doing. Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to find a reason that it happened. Funny. So I have no other option but to like say, well, maybe it's just
be mad. And then be mad at him.
I'm talking about like the reason that I stereotyped it that way. It's because it's like, okay, maybe it's just because of where he's from. Like maybe it's just
no, but this is the thing though. You tried to navigate it because you emailed them. You were like, okay, this is weird. What was I doing wrong? I need clarification. But in your personality, things are a little bit more black and white. And, I think that people forget to just be straight.
Yes, everyone wants to beat around the bush.
Because we're just worried about like, and we're always worried about like hurting everyone's feelings. But you can still be direct and kind at the same time. And you were really looking, you emailed them for clarification. And I know you, and you were just looking for what I said earlier.
Understanding. Like, that's all I was.
Hey, because you're in the middle. You're like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What's going on? And then you're just looking for him to give an explanation like, hey, Jillian, you're on the wrong spot. Or look at my board right now. I want to show you something. That's that clear direction. And he did.
Yeah, and you just get thrown off.
Because why? It makes me wonder, like, do people just get afraid, like, okay, I'm just gonna give her a quick name because I don't like what she's doing right now. I want her to be watching.
Then how am I supposed to know that if you don't tell me?
And he just isn't clear. Yeah. Well, we all think we're gonna read each other's minds. Like that's, everywhere in the workforce, everyone, they just think they can read each other's minds.
But
right, when I'm working with my students and I'm trying to get them to explain things to me, like they'll come up with a creative idea and I'm trying to get them to explain it to me. And so I tell them, I'll start asking them questions and I say, I'm trying to read your mind and I can't. So I want you to give me a lot of explanations. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions so I can narrow down what you're trying to achieve with this creatively. Because creativity is so hard, it's not math. So, and I'm trying to figure out creatively, like, what are they trying to work on if they're doing a project or whatever. And so I tell them that because what I learned is by working with them is that I'd started asking questions and they're like defensive. They're like, what, and because they're already insecure about the situation. I knew he was learning something brand new. So they get defensive and I learned how to say, I had to ask you these questions because I'm trying to read your mind and you're doing awesome. Try to give a lot of positive encouragement. You're doing awesome.
I need to understand.
Trying to figure out, what you are trying to achieve so I can help you achieve it. It's like saying, oh, I want to make this brown. Well, okay, let's talk about brown. There's
Right.
There's a lot of shades of brown.
A red brown or a green brown or a purple brown.
Yeah. And what's your texture and what
is it dark? Is it light? Is it opaque?
Yeah, and what's your big vision? Because what you do right now to the smile is going to affect it. So I do a lot of like, So I do a lot of investigating or questioning in that way. Well, it's funny because, when I started teaching high school at 44, I already knew what high schoolers were like because I had to. But I had two of them. So one 8th grader, one 10th grader. So I already knew what high schoolers were like. And then when I started teaching in the classroom, I just loved them even more. I loved all of them because they're such cool people. And especially doing creative work, high schoolers are so fun in that area. And it's just a really fun experience. And I learned really quick. I felt really bad because when I tell people, oh, I'm a high school teacher, I mean, I get it now all the time because that's what I get all the time. It's just people do. I'm a high school teacher. Oh my God, how can you do? Oh my God, they're so horrible. Oh, really? They're so, they're so rude and blah, 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 right? And it's funny because in the service industry,
you don't talk to them.
Yeah. And in the service industries, it's so much. It's
another stereotype.
Fast food, restaurant, customer service, retail. It's so much for high schoolers, right? And
yes. Oh my God.
I wonder if people just don't realize that those people are in high school. They're going through the drive-thru, getting their stuff. I bet they think they're older, but
they don't. They think they're in college, I think.
Yeah. And
you can work at 16 and most people start working at 16.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky because we have an awesome high school, but an awesome community. But people think oh, aren't they just so rude and all this stuff? And I'm like,
no, you just have never had a full-on conversation with a high schooler.
Exactly.
You've never bothered to listen to them or try to see it from their point of view.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, but sometimes even sometimes elementary age kids, when you are older, like when someone your age or even older than you is talking to someone like my age or younger than me, it is so crazy to me. And I actually had a conversation with one of my professors about how much he learns from talking to us on perspective and on different ways of thinking. People don't realize how drastically different we think compared to older generations. We have so much more to consider in the world and so many more things and layers that they didn't have back then. And a lot of this comes from how easily that we're connected because of technology. But
I can see that.
You know what I mean? We are analyzing things in such a different way nowadays that I've had my one professor, he was like, I learned so much from you guys about different ways of thinking, about being more accepting, about all kinds of stuff. That was what he had said. And but that's the biggest thing is everybody thinks true. Well, and everybody thinks that high schoolers or young people are just stupid and their brain's not turned off. And they're like, well, you don't know the real world. You haven't experienced it yet. And it's no, but I'm about to. So why won't you have the conversation with me? And so there's so many people who refuse to have a conversation with a high schooler who's just trying to learn and navigate that. Guess what? The high schooler ends up just figuring it out themselves. And so that's why they think the way that they do.
I wonder if people do think that, oh, you're not in the real world yet. Because I talk to my high schoolers all the time.
They do.
Especially
I'll tell you now.
11th and 12th grade. They are in the real world. A lot of them are in college classes. A lot of them have jobs. They have bills. They have responsibilities. Some of my high schoolers are the only ones bringing money home. Right.
And why is high school not the real world. We all do it.
You know what? That is so true. That is such a good statement. Why isn't high school considered? That is the real world. That's the real world at that time. That's so funny. I didn't think of life like that.
Do it for the first 12 years. Or I guess not 12, but
yeah,
for 12 years of at the beginning of our lives.
Yeah.
That is our world. That is the real world. Why is that not considered? Because the adults are the ones that are making us do it. So if you're so upset that we don't have experience in the real world, why are you making me to go to high school and go to public school at 16? You know?
It is the real world.
It is the real world.
I didn't think of that statement like that. That's funny.
You know?
Well,
why is high school not considered the real world?
People all the time think like, you know, like, okay, let's give the typical grandma needs to cross the street, you know? Like they won't ever help grandma cross the street, you know? And then I can see it now. Like I can see a dumb social media gimmick where, you know, there's an old lady crossing the street and then they'll record like a teenager doing it and applaud him like he's just he or she's just like so wonderful, right? And that's like to say that a whole bunch of them wouldn't and that this particular kid's outstanding because they did is a lie, because I teach tons of kids
and any of them would.
All of them would do it. All of them would do it. You know, they wouldn't even hesitate. You know, and the tolerance that I see
done it.
my classroom towards others who are different, who are like people. I know bullying is an issue, and there's like a whole lot of like stuff, right? But more students are super tolerant and helpful and kind and friendly and patient, and more students are like that. So and if they're not, like say they're not, everyone's like patient, right? We all get that way, right? And so even if they're in that moment where they are impatient about something or whatever, they can control it. So many of them have self-control. You know, if they're waiting for me for direction from me, they can wait. And they're waiting. You know, they have a lot of self-control in many ways. And so it's funny. It's just like media and, you know, the hype of what's reported on the news and the hype of, you know, teenagers or whatever. It just, it definitely stereotypes them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. What was it that you said a minute ago that I was going to go off of? Oh my gosh. What was my thought? This girl got out of her car and had really cute jeans and I forgot my thought.
Marty's going to be in half of my film.
That's okay. We don't care. Marty's great.
His face is right in it.
That's okay. We love Marty. He's adorable.
It's on my lap.
But shoot, what was I going to say? Oh my gosh, it's completely gone. The thought has left the building.
Okay, I'm going to start something else then.
All right. Well, I do have another story that I can tell that relates back to my first story.
Okay. So start.
Because I was thinking about this too. But yeah, so I have another story about a personal stereotype, and it's the same exact stereotype, but it's a different way that I experienced it. And you know exactly about this story. It's about my friend in high school who I was friends with for quite a while. We were kind of on and off friends. She wasn't the greatest person. And she was the kind of person that if she was miserable, she wanted you to also be miserable. And she was mad if you weren't miserable with her. And like she wanted to drag everyone down with her. And I've met a lot of people like that. There was a guy in college who was, I was friends with a guy in my freshman year of college who was like that. And I think we met in middle school. I think by this time we were probably juniors in high school. And she, one morning, like, we had a sleepover, and like, we always slept in the same bed because you don't really think about it. It's a queen size bed. Just like, okay, let's have a sleepover.
Right.
You know, it's not that big of a deal. No. And that morning we woke up and we were like getting ready to go somewhere. And she was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, okay, like, tell me. And she, like, I was like, okay, go ahead. And she was like, I really wanted to let you know that I think I'm bisexual. And I was like, I think I literally said to her, I was like, okay, cool. I was like, that's fine. Okay. I was like, are you worried I would be mad? And her response was, oh, come on, Jillian. I know you're at least a lesbian. That was her response to me when I was like, after she decided to come out to me. So then I start spiraling and I asked her, I was like, what? I was like, why? And she was like, well, you've never had a boyfriend or anything, so you must be at least a lesbian. I was like, at least a lesbian? What does that mean? I was like, wow. And I was like, so because in high school, because me as a high school kid saved myself, like I guess save yourself isn't really the best term, but like, because I was just kind of doing my thing. I was one day at a time. I was just kind of like cruising along. I wasn't trying to get a boyfriend. I wasn't trying to have sex with anybody. I wasn't trying to have my first kiss. I was in the state of, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we'll see where I end up. Right. Because that's not my priority right now. And it still isn't. And like, because of that, she told me, and I learned that everyone in school with me thought that I was lesbian simply because I hadn't had a boyfriend. Or hadn't really shown any interest in a boy. Yeah. And so then I started spiraling and I was like, oh my God, I've been sleeping in the same bed as her. We've been like, what have I been like, does she think I've been flirting with her? Like, have I been giving her like this idea or these signals that maybe I am? Like, I'm like, no. So then I start
when you flirt, like, no,
That's what. So then I start like reevaluating and reanalyzing all of my experiences and the way that I acted all through high school. We might have been seniors at that. No, we were definitely juniors at that point.
You were younger.
Because I was like, after she did that to me, and she had done a ton of other things to me, not to me, but just, I guess to me. I don't know. She just was not a good person. And after that moment, I was like, I think I literally said, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take you home. I'm going to have my mom take you home. And I think I made her go home. Because I was like, are you kidding me? I was so just like appalled. And I stopped talking to her after that. And she had tried, but I was friends with, and then like a couple months later, I was friends with her girlfriend, who they're still together now. So you know who I'm talking about.
I know. Yeah, I know.
And I was friends with her now girlfriend, and I had known her girlfriend for much longer than she knew her. Like, I had known her because George, my brother, was friends with her girlfriend like for a long time. So I had known her girlfriend since I was in like 6th grade, and I ran into her, and she was like, yeah, so and so. Oh my God, I feel like I need to give her a fake name.
Yeah, like, no, just go ahead. No, I don't know.
Okay. Like, so her girlfriend runs into me and she's like, yeah, so she's like really upset and she wants me to try and get you to talk to her. And then this was the moment of like the light bulb went off of, I'm fine. I don't need to feel bad for doing what I did. I don't need to try to make up for something that I never did, because her girlfriend said to me, I know what she did to you and I know what she said to you, and I don't blame you one bit for not talking to her. And I told her that, and I told her that you have every right to not talk to her for her saying that to you and treating you like that. And this is like not just because of her saying like you're at least a lesbian. This is just from years of stuff, but But that was like my last straw. That was like my breaking point. And I had a moment of like, you know what, you're right. And I think I even said to her, I was like, you know what, you're right. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time with it anymore. I was like, I'm about to go to college. I'm about to move on. Like, I was like, I'm good. I'm over it. And her girlfriend was like, I don't blame you. And so it was that's good. So yeah, it was a really crazy experience to deal with. But
I think that like in the end, like we have to try hard to, like, you set your boundary with your friend, right? You set your boundary with her, and that's acceptable. I think as people, that is super healthy to do, because you're not wrong for being uncomfortable in that. And then, like, I think that the healthy way for you to kind of function is, it's really hard to ignore stereotypes, and it's hard to, especially when in your mind, especially in the work situation, school or whatever, in your mind, you kind of like already had that playing. And then even like with your teacher, you had this confrontation, not an email confrontation in a way, like you're trying to stand up for yourself. It's hard to turn it off after that all happened, especially when there wasn't resolution. But I think that and I know how you progressed through that semester. And I think somehow, I remember us talking about it, somehow you dug deep and you managed to still continue. You continued to do the work. You continued to
I still
function.
got an A. Like,
yep.
I still, because I knew that I knew what I was capable of, and I wasn't going to let that experience, like a lot of kids will be like, fine, then I'm just not going to do the work. Like, if you're going to treat me like that, I'm just not going to do the work then. But that's not, I'm there for me and nobody else.
And your situation was temporary. It wasn't going to be forever. And like, I talk to my students about that, like, oh, if you're doing a job you don't like and you're not good at it, like if you put me doing inventory, talk to them all the time about that. If you make me go do inventory, I'll do it for a while. You can pay me $50 an hour. I'll do it for a while. And I'll do it good for a while, but I'm going to be miserable as a person and I'll end up quitting. And exactly. So even like in that stereotype, if you had to permanently work, if you thought permanently you were going to work in that situation, you'd quit. You'd just go find a different job.
Right. Yeah.
But you knew it was temporary. And I don't know. It leads us into also the whole idea of that an individual's perception is their reality. Mm-hmm. And even though like the idea of that statement, if you really contemplate it, if you really dig deep and think hard about it, and even think about it in whatever situation you're in, it's that combined with empathy. That is why I think that is how people are very successful, is when they have a good solid understanding of that. And like
of other people, you have to recognize how other people might be viewing the situation.
Right. In his perception, he perceived it as if you weren't even listening. Right?
Right.
And
whatever. Yeah.
So he's perceiving it like you weren't listening. You're perceiving it like you're doing something wrong and you were listening. Like, so it just becomes a big confusion mess. This is like therapy 101, right? And so
it's like the basic understanding of communication.
Right. But if you understand the idea of someone's perception, and you take that on a whole nother level, that I think it brings clarity to your ability to communicate, and it brings tolerance. It brings, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to really think that way instantly.
And to be reminded of it in the moment.
Yeah. Instinct. like, especially when you're mad about something and when emotions are in the way, you're just mad at him. You know, I use it for problem solving at work. We had some stuff come up, and I was talking with my colleagues about it, and we were just, and it wasn't anything of a deal, but we were trying to problem solve this whole situation. Well, I was venting, actually. I was just venting about the situation, about, you know, people taking classes and whatever. And I was just venting to my boss, and I felt bad because I'm like, oh God. And we have a good relationship. So I'm just venting to him. And I just said, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Cause I was always, my college background was trained, don't show up unless you have a solution. Don't come in here just to bitch, show up with a solution. That's like, I try really hard to function that way. Of course, no, it's perfect.
Yeah. But so sometimes you have to talk to somebody else to find that solution. Though.
You are so right. Like, you are so right. And that's what you and I do for each other all the time.
You can't figure it out on your own.
Yes,
we do. We do that to each other.
I was venting, and then even in mid-vent, because I've tried so hard to do this, I was thinking about, okay, put yourself in that person's shoes. What is their perspective? And then, okay, how can we fix it so their perspective changes to see our point of view, and and so we can still achieve our goals, and so we and it turned into we just needed to communicate better, and we needed to come up with a better schedule and a better,
most of the time, it's communication is the issue. That is most of the issue is communication. People are poor about it, and people are worried that they're going to make someone upset by being upfront. It's like, no, just give me the details and just explain it to me. And if you are talking to a smart enough person, they will be able to read it and think, okay, that's the information I need. Not, oh my God, why are they talking to you this way? Do you think that's kind of weird? That, but
when you bring emotion,
what?
When you bring emotion into it, though, when you take perception of someone's reality, tie it in with stereotypes that you started out this whole conversation with, it's really hard when you were talking about, emotions, people's ethics, the way that moral beliefs, those kinds of heart issues that people have. It's really, really hard for people to come around. So you being in class and people thinking you're a lesbian, that's their perception. Their perception is that reality, and that hurts you. But that's their perception. So if you want to change someone's perception of you, what can you change? But we've talked about it, just because you wear a sweater, or just because you don't wear, I don't know. And we've said it, do you have to wear pink just to be seen as not lesbian or a girl or whatever,
or whatever it is.
We've had those conversations, but it's really hard. This is hard. What do I do as a mom? What do I tell you to do? Oh, you don't want to be seen as a lesbian? Okay. Well, you have to wear a frilly dress on, and you have to put on lipstick and wear makeup, or what? How do I? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And the other thing with that too is I can't let that bother me, because the way that person wants to see me is not important. If it's someone I care about,
it is a balance, isn't it?
I can't make everybody happy. Okay, someone looks at me and sees that I have on a sweater and I look like a lesbian. They decide that sweater is something a lesbian would wear. Whatever. I've learned when it comes to that specific one where people for some reason assume I am, which if you lived with me and you were with my roommates, you would know that I'm not a lesbian. Because we'd be talking about,
and I guess
which guys are hot.
That really
we'd be talking about which guys are hot and which guys are not. And we say, oh my God, I walk in the room and I say, oh my God, I just walked into the elevator with this guy. He was so hot. I was so freaked out.
But maybe that in the end, that's all that matters, though. is
Yep,
that your
that's
circle.
what I was saying.
Yeah, and the
That's what I was
people who love
saying.
and care about you, and the
The
people
people who matter. It's the
Yeah.
people who matter that
that you would
that's all
work
that
for.
I need.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was like, it was just the way that that person said it. They were like, well, look at your sweater, babe. And I was like, my sweater? Okay.
Yeah.
So it was just so like, just out of the blue too. Just like, I'm like, wow, okay, I can't wear this sweater ever again. And then I like, you know, I have that split second thought of like, okay, I guess I'm not wearing this anymore. But then I was like, no, I'm gonna wear the sweater because it's soft and it's comfortable. And I keep the AC in that room at like 70 degrees and it's hot. And I'm like freezing. I'm freezing in that room. And so I'm like, no, I'm gonna wear the big, thick, fancy winter sweater that I thrifted for $3. Like that's what's happening here.
It's weird because like we wore in the 90s big baggy men's plaid shirts, you know, like and we wore, you know,
and I'm like, why in today's day and age with the shit that people are walking around with on, why is my sweater what you're paying attention to?
That's so funny.
Like people wear anything and everything. People wear literally anything and everything, but I can't wear black leggings and a sweater.
I know.
So
it's just end, silly. It's just be secure in who you are.
Yeah. So
and it's hard.
And it's hard. Well, to wrap it up, we'll end with our song. Do you have a song? I have a song.
I don't have a song.
I have a song, and you're not gonna know it. Okay. Because it's by small artists. But my song for this episode 2, and it just popped into my brain. But there's a musical artist called Sarah Kinsey, and she had like a viral TikTok song, but then people kind of forgot about her, which sucks because she's really great. And I have tickets to go see her in October. Not gonna say where because I don't want people to come looking for me. And she has a song on her new album that she just released called Beautiful Things. And I'm not too far into it, and I couldn't really describe it to you, but it's a really great song. And because I don't know the lyrics that well yet, it's still new fresh in my brain. But I was just listening to it on my drive here to where we're recording. And it's just a really good song. The whole album, it's called Escape, or I think it's Escaper, or it might just be Escape. I can't remember. No, I think it's Escaper. But it's Sarah Kinsey, Kinsley, not King like King, Kinsley. And it's really good. And it's Beautiful Things is the title of the song. It's on her album. And the first song on that album is really great too. It's called Last Time We Ever Meet Again. And what does she say? She says how does it go? Hold on. I'm gonna look it up real quick and tell you how it goes. How does it go? What's the lyric? There's a specific lyric in that first song on that album. Okay, yes, it's called Escaper. Let me find the lyrics. No. I want to find the lyrics. Oh my gosh. I can't find the lyrics.
The sun is blasting my face right now.
Hold on. I got it. You are? Okay. Oh, okay. This is the lyric. I found it. This is the lyric. I couldn't remember it because it's such a new album. But it's verse 3. And she says, I hope you get everything you wanted. I hope the universe bends down to offer itself to you. And this is the part that got me after that. She says, but for myself, I hope I hear your name and feel absolutely nothing. Let me be free of you. And I was like, ooh. I was like, yeah, that felt good. I was like, yep. That's so real. And I was just like, wow, she's so right. Like, we get to that point of just hearing someone's name, even if they're not even talking about that person, can cause you to relive the entire experience that you had. Like, you know, and it's so important to get to that point where you can move on from that and where you can hear that name or be reminded of that person and not relive the feelings, because most of the time it's the negative ones that we hold on to, and it's so important to just move on. And especially if that person's not in your life anymore, it's so important to just move on. And like she says, let me be free of you, let go of it. Like, you can't let them keep controlling you even when they're not even in your life, even after you set that boundary, you know? So yeah, that's my song. Last Time We Ever Meet Again by Sarah Kinsey and Beautiful Things. Or if you really want to get into it, her new album Escaper is incredible. So that's it. Bye bye.